Hey everybody, my first YouTube video is how to hack your Idylis Humidifier. Right here we got a regular old humidifier that if you have a wood burning insert or a wood burning fireplace or anything that dries your house out that you use to humidify through the winter, you know it's a pain in the butt because you got to take pitchers of water from your sink all the way over to your humidifier several times a day. But if you get tired of that, here's a little hack you can do if you've got moderate around the house skills. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take the guts out of it and put it up on the workbench. All right, if your wicks have already gotten wet, make sure you take them out of here nice and carefully because they'll fall apart otherwise. This is what I did. Step one, you can see the bottom of this, the housing here. There's a nice size hole. Nice videography there, son. That hole was made with a 1 1/8 inch paddle bit. Now, I know there's probably 50 million people that are going to comment, oh, you should have used this bit, you should have used that bit, you should have used that bit. But I didn't, and I did this and it worked. Okay, so if you use a sharp wood bit or a Forstner bit or an auger bit, there's a chance that it's going to grab on this soft plastic really, really well, and then it's going to crack it. So make sure you're drilling, and you're right in between this housing, and this is the max fill line indicator that's inside. So you need equidistant between each. That way your fastener can fit in there just fine. So when you use your paddle bit, just go nice and slow. Don't push, let the bit do all the cutting, and you'll be just fine. Now you see I got the humidifier up here on blocks because the wheels don't provide the clearance that we're gonna need when we're done. All right. So the next thing you need is a toilet filler. You can get them in any kit. This one I had sitting around my toolbox, and I finally decided I was either gonna throw it out or use it for something, so this is the something it turned into. You'll also notice that when you take this apart, that this flange here is actually 1 1/8 is actually gives you a pretty good clearance on both sides. But that's okay. This entire thing here is a rubber washer, and it's also got a flange around it. So it fits into a 1 1/8 inch hole very well. There's also a link on this that had was linked to the chain that would unlock the float when you flush the toilet, but obviously not needed, so snip that off. Leave the hose on there because the pressure is going to come out pretty hard, and if you don't leave the hose on there, it's going to squirt in there and splash out the side vents. So leave the hose on there for installation. So it's pretty straightforward from here. We're going to take our filler, put it in, take the fastener around the back. All right, make sure you're right there in the center of the hole. You're not pinching that rubber washer. All right, and finger tight. If you use tools on this, you're gonna press it, you're gonna crack the plastic, or you're gonna over stress the rubber grommet, rubber washer. All right, that's it for that. All right, next step, we need a water line. This is the water line you're gonna need. It's a toilet water line. Again, the toilet line that you're putting on there should be nice and just finger tight. There's a rubber washer on the inside of that that'll prevent any leaking. So now you'll see that why we have to elevate the housing. There's not enough room for the radius of the hose unless you elevate the housing. Now obviously just for the workbench, we got these 2 blocks, but what I did was I went and measured out a base. And we have pine floors upstairs, so just basically did 45s. And urethaned it. Cut a slot right here, and that's where the water line's gonna go out the back. And I'll give you the dimensions of this right now. So this is, it's 24 7/8 by 14 3/4. Obviously there's a wide range of dimensions you can make it. Just make sure that the wheels are on the inside of it, and then it sits on the housing nice. So once I get this going, I'll be able to run the water line right through that channel, and then this will sit right there looking nice. All right, next step, you have to find yourself a nice cold water line. So I found a 1/2 inch feed line that goes to my outside faucets, and I tapped into it, cut away, clean it up, and use the press-on fittings. You know the name brand, they're there at the box stores. They're pretty easy to use. As long as you clean the pipes up nice, they press fit in and they won't leak as long as you do it properly. Came out here, put a 90 fitting in there, used the crimp ends. You can also buy press-on 90 degrees, but they're just expensive. So since I have the tool to do this, I just ran it like that. And then ran my 1/2 inch line around, make sure you secure it so it doesn't get hit or pulled off, and then through the wall over to this side. So we ran that line through the wall here. I measured on this wall from my heating, my baseboard heat from upstairs. Took some good measurements and figured out where I wanted to drill the line to make the valve pop up so it wouldn't be seen. And during the 3 other seasons of the year where I'm not using a humidifier, it wouldn't be visible. So let's go upstairs and take a look at where that water line comes in. All right, this is the area that we generally leave our humidifier for the winter anyway. It's just a nice place to keep it out of the way. So what I did was take the supply line and the feed line down in the basement, snap a line in between so it's, because it's not plumb on the wall. And that gave me a good place where I can bring the valve up and secure it. So it's a press-on valve, so it just pressed right onto the supply line. And there it is. What I'm going to have to do is, that I haven't done yet, is I'm going to have to come up here and probably put a small notch in the bottom of this, the heat cover. But we'll see how bad that's going to be in a few minutes. So we're going to move our humidifier into place. Start to attach our supply line. This you will definitely require a wrench for, not finger tight on this. Now, since this valve isn't screwed into anything, you want to make sure you're holding the valve when you tighten up this nut. Otherwise, you're going to put some undue stress on the line that's below it, and that's not what you want to do. It also doesn't need to be incredibly tight. There is a rubber washer on the inside of this. And that should just about do it right there. All right, so we come up here, check the placement of our humidifier. Come over here. We're going to turn this valve on and check for leaks, and then turn it back off if we have any leaks, and adjust if we have to. All right. So we got some flow in there. It's filling up right now. I've got the plunger set all the way down at the bottom. I don't want it to maintain full. The more exposure the wicks have to the air, the more humidity you're going to add to the air. If you fill it all the way up, you're going to have a smaller surface area for evaporation to take place. So I've got the plunger all the way down. So far I've got no leaks at the supply line. I'm going to put my hand underneath to make sure there's nothing under here. So I've got no leaks at the fitting underneath as well. See, there's the max fill indicator right there. So what happened was, during the fill of this, notice that the plunger needed to be more submerged than I originally calculated. It did shut itself off. It is about 3/4 of an inch above the max fill line, but it is still a good 2 inches from the side vents from overflowing, so it'll work. So what's gonna have to happen is, this rod right here, which is the adjustment rod that you use to adjust the level, is gonna have to come off, and I'm gonna have to fashion something a little longer. That way it pushes the plunger down a little lower. I'll do that video some other time. I'm going to get this sucker up and running now, though. And thanks for watching. And stay tuned in the next few days for the modification.